What's up, Giants fans, Hub watchers, YouTube and Rumble subscribers, Twitter and Instagram followers? It's Kush back at it again with another Just Chillin podcast episode. Of course, call-in show real quick. My bad, members of the channel. I know you guys are usually waiting for their link to be dropped in the members community notes. I did drop it. It just ended up being really late because I got back from work not too long ago, and I had to quickly kind of set up the stream here. As you notice, Kayvon Thibodeau is still off to my, to the right of the screen, but actually off to my left right now. He should be a picture like Daniel Jones or Joe Shane or Brian Dable or something, but he's not. But welcome everybody. How y'all doing? Thank you for tuning in. A quick shout out to all y'all in chat right now. I know that I saw Jane the Champ in here earlier, Miz, Adam is still in there right now, Sober Party, Namar, and that's about it for people that were participating in chat. I know more and more you guys are gonna drop in as the stream goes, and honestly, there's not too much to talk about with the Giants right now. I mean, it's part of the reason why I didn't necessarily drop a video today, as I'm going to now put the StreamYard link in the chat and also pin it. As y'all know, anybody and everybody's welcome to call in. But there wasn't really much going on today. There wasn't really much even going on yesterday when I made the video about 5 free agents we could potentially sign. It's just kind of been quiet, which is understandable. The offseason, I don't even know when it officially starts. If it has officially started, but whenever free agency officially starts and whatnot, I'm sure it's within the coming weeks. But we're kind of in a little bit of a quiet period. You know, that period between where the old NFL season ends and the new NFL season begins, or NFL year, I should say, rather than season. I think that's the more proper term to use here. What up? I see Levance and Noam in here as well. Definitely, if you want to talk about Kayvon, we can definitely talk about Kayvon. March 13th, thank you for the date, man. Appreciate that. So yeah, we're definitely gonna be stuck like this for a couple weeks at the very least, you know, just kind of speculating, and that's what my videos the past week and a half have been, you know, from the mini series earlier last week where there was 2 methods about how to clear up $40 million in cap in one video, a couple free agents in the other one, the mock draft in itself. Well, we all know mock drafts are speculation anyway. And then the video yesterday about those kind of going into a dumpster dive for players we could get. I will say, in the research for that video, one guy that really has stuck with me is the linebacker from the Denver Broncos, Josie Jewell. I looked at him then, and I'm really thinking about maybe we should try and go and get him if, possible. Bruno Toast, what's up, man? Giants Ping Sports, and Ash, what up, bro? Silo Ren as well. With that being said, I'm not really going to hold y'all up much longer. We do have one guy in here that, if I bring this down, if that's the guy, yep, that's who I think it is. Been waiting for him to call back for a minute now. Adam, what's up, man? How you doing, bro?
Good, man. How are you? How you been?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
I am doing well, thank you. I mean, we are now in the off season, and I think this is a great time to be a Giant fan, especially with Joe Shane and the prospects. But I'm just excited. So for me, I just want to get into something to see what your thought process is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, no. The quarterback's a touchy subject, so I'm not going to try to go there.
Oh, no. That one time where I came on, I was just like, I was going on somebody else's channel. I don't mind talking about it on mine because everybody brings it up, right? It's obvious when you call and you want to ask me about it. So go ahead, ask. It's fine.
No, my thing is this. If you think the Giants are not going to have a winning season this year, what's the point of keeping a guy just to have an audition that you're going to be in the running for a quarterback next year anyways? Right? So if 2023 you're going in for a quarterback, why am I going to waste time with this guy now to hope that he's something else? Now, I'm not saying Dan Jones is bad. I'm just saying my thought process this entire offseason is why keep guys like Barkley and why keep guys like Jones if we think we're going to have a bad season?
I guess there's 2 things to say about that, but the first one I should address is definitely the biggest one. I mean, we could think whatever we want, and I'm sure when you say if you, you're definitely referring to Brian Dable, right? Or are you referring to fans?
Right.
If Brian Dable thinks we're going to lose, if he
I'm thinking the fans in general, but they're doing a rebuild. So let's be honest. We know that this season is not going to be winning if you look at it, right? If they do it correctly, they're going to be sitting middle of the road, maybe top 10, maybe top 15 draft pick next year, right? So if you're going to work that hard to strip all these people out, right? Because you're trying to get $40 million under the cap. You're going to get rid of all these players. You're not going to have guys to sign. You want more bites at the apple in terms of draft picks. Why are we going to sit here and keep guys that we may not have a future with?
That's a very different question from what you asked earlier, though. Which you brought up two different points, and I think the second time you said what you said was way more valid than the first one, because you brought up things like actually trying to get under the cap space and stuff like that. Right. Like if we compare, or I guess let me just quickly say what I was gonna say to that first question. If Brian Daboll thinks we're gonna have a bad season, I don't know if that's really gonna affect whether or not he's gonna keep certain people here, right? But then when you start talking about more logistics, like all right then. If we're going to do a hard rebuild and hit a hard reset, why keep the old quarterback? Why keep the old running back, especially when we're struggling to get under this certain number of cap space? Like, that's way different, and I agree with you there, right? I mean, if we get the right, and I've said this before, if we get the right trade package for Saquon, certainly I'm going to send him elsewhere. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think anybody knows what Saquon's value is. People have said we're not going to get nothing more than a fourth, nothing more than a third. I'm like, I've seen teams trade firsts or seconds for Sam Darnold. So I mean, and Saquon is still better than Sam Darnold in my opinion. I've seen a team share the second round pick for Josh Rosen a couple years ago. So I don't think any of us really knows what Saquon's value is. If I'm being completely honest with you, I just know that if the right package is there, they would probably take it. In terms of Daniel Jones, the thing is, and this is where it always gets with me, is cutting him doesn't necessarily give us that much in cap in the first place because he doesn't cost that much. He's on the 4th year of his rookie deal. So it's like, and actually, let me pull it up before I start estimating and guesstimating numbers.
Let me pull up his contract. Something like $8 million right now, and then you get $21 million guaranteed.
Yeah, I think it's like around $8 or $9 million this year. Let me see.
Well, I'm not saying to cut him. My thing is this: if we're looking at the future of this team, right?
Oh, actually, bro, like this is what I'm saying. His cap hit is $8 million. In terms of what he's actually making, I think it's like 8.1 or something like that. So yeah, there around $8 million, and it's by far the cheapest, contract, like cheapest year of the contract. You look at the dead cap hits the year previously. Obviously, his first year was expensive, it was like 25. Right. The second year was 21. Last year was 15. So at $8 million, and then you look at the quarterback market, it's like that's kind of where backup quarterbacks are going for. So if you're paying a backup quarterback for this guy, like you know what I mean. But go ahead, what are you gonna say?
All I'm saying is this, right? Like Daniel Jones comes in, let's say he goes gangbusters. All right. If you don't use the 5th-year option on him, you're putting him on the franchise tag. Let me ask you this. Are you really negotiating a deal with him?
Let's stop right there, though. Who says we're putting him on a franchise tag?
Well, if you don't pick up his 5th-year option, right, are you going to give
him... the only reason we'd pick up his franchise or give him the franchise tag would be if he goes out there and has that good year, right? That's what you're saying, if he goes gangbusters?
Because right now, we're assuming... And this is I hate to do this. We're assuming they're not going to pick up the 5th-year option. That's what I'm assuming. Yeah. They're not going to pick it up because of the injury. I wouldn't do it. I don't know what they're thinking, but I wouldn't do that from a guy coming off an injury. So I'm saying if he balls out, you didn't give him the $21 million on his contract. Now you're going to give him like $26 million. Are you going to negotiate then, or are you going to say, hey, take this $26 million and play it out before we can invest in you again? Because at what point do we say, hey, we're going to invest in you long term? Because financially, if you start over at quarterback, now you have that 5-year window to keep building your team for that player.
I'll say this: if he balls out and they give him the franchise tag, I think it will be a stupid move. Because if he balls out, you'd want to secure him right there. Like if he fits whatever definition of balls out they have, whatever definition of okay, this is actually the franchise guy that they have. If he fits that definition, then it will be stupid of them not to try and lock him up to a long-term deal.
So maybe he doesn't even hit the franchise tag, is what you're saying.
Because the franchise tag, I think, will be too much. That's the top 5 of at the position average, right?
Right.
Quarterbacks are making 45, 50 million. No way, I'm giving him the franchise tag, bro. Like, what would the can I look this up right now? Actually, what would the franchise tag for a quarterback be worth right now?
Well, yes, I think it's somewhere around $29 million. I looked it up, but I could be wrong. But my point is that all I'm talking about is the investing in the future. If we're really talking about drafting a team and rebuilding, sometimes just keeping a guy is one thing, but if they invest in him in the 5th-year option, okay, then I can believe you're really keeping a guy. Otherwise, you're just auditioning him for what? For him to then leave or then possibly have to use up more cap space and not be able to build a team because now you have to invest in a quarterback. I'm just saying, like, I don't want to get rid of the guy. I don't want to say that. All I'm saying is I want to give an objective idea of what to look for, because this is how my brain is thinking. I'm like, well, this guy's been in the league 4 years, or going to be in his fourth season. He hasn't done much to, let me give him the bag. He's been injured every year in his career.
Almost always around week 12. You could count on it.
I guess
you could count. It's like almost annually around week 12, man.
Right.
Week 10, week 12, yeah. Right.
It's been around the middle towards the latest season. So can I count on them then? And then if the Giants are in the tanker at the first half of the year and are trying to come back, are we going to be like, well, you know what? The Giants went 6-11, 7-10. They're in the middle of the draft. They can move up to get a quarterback. And we're going to sit here and run it back with Daniel Jones again because we want to give him another shot. I'm just saying, like,
yeah. I'll just say this real quick because I know the point you're making. But if we're 7-10, if we're 7-10, I'm actually kind of happy coming off a 4-12 season.
Right, I get what you're saying, but it still is, like, for me, like, is 7-10 worthy enough for us to keep him, right? Especially if you say that he's going to be injured. So how many of those games are we winning?
So let's say this. And first of all, shout out to Asia Roberson. What up, Asia? How you doing? Thank you. I don't know if that was a rejoining the member alert I got, or if it was just because you commented, because I see it's highlighted green on YouTube. What up, Asia? How you doing? And then, so you're saying, let's say we go 6 to 7 wins, right?
Well,
but his performance doesn't change, is what you're saying. But his performance doesn't really change. If his performance doesn't change, but we're 6-10, or like 6-11, 7-10, I think he still has to go, because we're looking for a performance improvement.
Right.
In that scenario, there is no improvement, right? So
exactly. I'm just thinking long term, because if you're building a team, everyone's like, oh, you got to get your quarterback on your rookie deal so you can build around him. Well, you're already going to be behind that, right? Because you're not going to pick a quarterback this year, or at least we assume they're not going to take a quarterback. I don't know how they feel about him. I'm not in Joe Shane or Brian Dable's office to know. But let's say they don't take one this year. They're like, the crop next year is better. So now, if we do have that season, we still didn't make the playoffs, right? We're still middle of the road. We're probably outside the top 10. And obviously, Daniel Jones is going to get blamed regardless of if we are middle of the road. If we're losing, they're going to blame him. They're going to want somebody. And not going to take.
Let's just take a look back at this year, right? For the first, I want to say 6 weeks of the season, he was actually looking really good. He was looking really good. The fans were actually not on him that much, but as the losing continued, you start to see the same things basically come back, like the same the same complaints and stuff like that. When he went down, the injury talks came back. I mean, for that one, rightfully so, it is an actual concern. But yeah, I hear what you're saying, because I don't think he deserved all of the stuff that he got last year. Some of it was kind of unfair, but it happens no matter what, because that just comes with the position.
Well, let me ask you this. How long do you think it's going to take for Brian Dable to have a functioning offense? Do you think it's going to happen out the gate, or do you think it's going to take maybe 4 to 5, 6 weeks to get going? And Wink Martindale.
That's a good question. I would hope it happens right out the gate. You know why I would hope it happens right out the gate? Because what happened with us has to be like, is historical the correct word? But it has to be an outlier in NFL history, man, because I'm going to keep using the same example over and over again, because I think it just best describes the position we are in. The Houston Texans with Davis Mills dropped 40 points multiple times during the year, bro. The Houston Texans that were supposed to go like 0-17 won 14 games. Shout out to man, I'm forgetting his name. That's such a disservice. But shout out to a guy that should not have been fired over there in Houston that they fired. David Culley. Shout out to David Culley. That man did a great job. But also with that offense as well. What's another team that was supposed to be absolute trash offensively? Like, we could not score at points.
Think about the Jags, right? The Jags had a new quarterback, knew everything, and they still were scoring more points than we did. Now,
it literally got to points in games where a team scored the second touchdown, and this wasn't even deep in the season, actually. You could go back and watch the streams where I'm calling the game with Kid Blue or with somebody else that's on my channel. Go back and look at those streams. By the time week 8 or week 9 rolled around, which was Kansas City Raiders, and I know, we won the Raiders game, but I was still saying it then. When teams scored a second touchdown on us, the game was over. Game was over, man. It was case closed.
Right, and the thing was that here's another point about Daniel Jones that I bring up, is if we're going to struggle in the season, because I've heard that it takes around 5 to 6 weeks for an offense to gel, right? And then you got the defense to kind of get the terminology down from a whole different offensive coaching, right? Everybody sees things differently. You could say it's the same terminology, but if you're going to change all the offensive linemen out, right? We got 4 trash bags and Andrew Thomas, right? You're going to change them all out. Yeah, you're going to change them all out, right? They've all got to gel. They're not going to gel in April because they don't hit. They're not going to gel in May or June in the OTAs. In training camp, they're going to gel against your defense. But then when a defense comes out and actually schemes, this is where I need Daniel Jones to step up, because there's going to be leaks in that line. And will he be able to move this way, move that way, and get out of the way?
And let's definitely talk about that real quick, because that's a point that I don't know if it's not brought up that much or if people just don't discuss it, but just vision, just vision.
Right.
Just mobility, and don't mistake his straight line speed for being mobile in the pocket, because there's people don't realize this. Let me give you an example. Eli is not a mobile quarterback, but Eli was mobile in the pocket. He knew how to move around, at least in his prime. He knew how to move around the pocket. He knew how to avoid pressure. Daniel has not really shown us that at any point in his career so far. Whether that's because he doesn't have the right pieces around him, you could argue, we stunted his growth a couple times, whatever. I've said that a lot, but he has late reactions a lot of times. We've seen this year and last year. Last year against the Cardinals, and I know he got sacked a whole bunch. I know. Okay, so you know what? That's not the best example actually, because he was not healthy during the Cardinals game. But there's multiple games where he's getting pressure from not his blind side, like from his right side. There's pressure coming in his face, and he's not moving. You're like, he doesn't feel it. He's not moving. He doesn't see it. Whatever the case is, they get to him, and it's like step, sidestep or something, move up in the pocket or something. And like I say, it's a give and take. It's a catch-22, because sometimes there is no space to move up in the pocket, because we've had 4 trash bags on the offensive line. So it is a give and take.
Well, the thing that I don't know if you know Bobby Skinner, Talking Giants. He does a podcast. I'm sure you've crossed paths with him, but he used to do an O-line breakdown.
Oh yeah, Bobby comes on the channel. I'm actually going to have him on probably in the next month or so. Bobby and Justin, they've come on the channel a couple times.
Great. Yeah, I would look forward to listening and hopefully speaking with them. But he does the breakdown of the offensive line, right? So I'm sitting there watching it, and I decided to watch Daniel Jones. I'm like, okay, what did Jones do on this play? Billy Price is literally getting pushed into his face, and instead of moving to the left to make the throw, he stands there and throws around Billy Price and the defender coming at him. I'm just like, these are the subtleties of a good quarterback. Look at Tom Brady. Someone showed me an example in the Tampa Bay game. He came in, the Giants' pressure is coming. He moved to the left, threw the ball, right? Blaine Gabbert comes in. That same pressure comes in. Gabbert doesn't move, sack, right? That's the difference between a guy knowing the rush and how to move around in the pocket, as opposed to a guy like Blaine Gabbert who's just going to look at the read and just stand there. I think the problem with Daniel Jones is physically he's got all the talent, but sometimes if you watch his drop back, he's never on his toes, right? He just stands there flat-footed. And then when you're flat-footed, you don't have enough room to move around or anything like that. So I think Daniel Jones needs to fix those fundamentals in the pocket, because these are the things I worry about. I don't care about the offensive line. That's going to be fixed, all right? We know it's going to be fixed. If Joe Shane doesn't fix it, there's going to be a mutiny at MetLife Stadium, on draft night, right? People are going to burn torches or whatever they do in East Rutherford. They're going to be pissed, right? So I'm assuming that the offensive line is going to be fixed. They're going to bring in free agency, which we don't tend to talk about because we go right to the draft. But I feel they're going to bring in some quality guards, and it may not be Hall of Fame caliber, but they're going to be quality guards to compete on this line. Or I shouldn't say guards, I should say linemen.
And let me say a couple things real quick. I see New York Giants something. What up, bro? I see you back here. Then we got Jon Snow Targaryen. I'm just giving people shout outs in the chat actually. Jon Snow Targaryen, Mike B, Mike Gorga, Edward Chan, AB. I think is a maybe a DJ fan. I can't remember if he's the DJ fan or if he's the DJ hater. There's so many of them. Amazing guy. Crazy D. Giants Opinion Sports. I don't know if I gave you one, but you should call in. For those of you that don't know, and Adam, I'm not sure if you've come across his channel, but he
I love him.
he does really good quick breakdowns, man. I love him.
He doesn't like me right now because I don't like Daniel Jones, but
Lord Commander Manny, Silo Ren, TD, Hazelnut, Emma, NYG31. I think I got everybody. Hirsch for real. I'm sorry, I'm mispronouncing you. Tashiyama Smith and Miz in here as well, along with Big Blue for life. I saw somebody say something about Eli also was good because of calling protections. I'm trying to find that comment. I can't find it. And then
I don't know if
somebody else
Daniel Jones
also
does
said
that.
that Daniel stares down his target, which I think we both can agree on as well.
I see, and someone told me that was built on the offense, and I'm like, that's not offensive. You don't just tell a quarterback, hey, you know what? Go look at the right half of the field and just stare there, because that doesn't make any sense to me. That if you're coaching like that, you should be fired. That's not my Pee Wee coach didn't even tell me that. Okay, so for me, I don't know if it's Daniel Jones is in his head. He's a shot fighter. I have no idea. I just need to see him have more pocket awareness because there's times where you need to know when to run the football and slide. Slide, man. He got injured. Everyone's like, oh, Daniel Jones, he got injured outside the pocket.
They need
doing
just
something
bring
dumb.
in at that point, like, and this is on the coach. I'm blaming this on the coach staff too, because it was such a glaring problem. Like, you're just bringing a dude that plays baseball to teach him how to slide,
Right.
man.
Right.
For real.
But what doesn't make any sense is he did that same thing, and I won't keep you too much longer. Probably other callers coming in, but Daniel Jones in the Dallas Cowboy game decided he's going to take on a linebacker at the goal line. And what happened? He ended up concussed and out of the game. So then let's fast forward a couple weeks later against Philadelphia. He does the same thing. Like, the thing about Daniel Jones that I hated to watch sometimes is he doesn't want he has to learn from his mistakes.
And this is where, once again, I'm blaming DJ and I'm blaming the coaching staff as well because they ran him into linebackers too much. And I'm just, the more and more I look back at it, I was a fan of Joe Judge. I still think that he probably should have gone another year. That may be an unpopular opinion as much as I hated him at the end of that year. But there were so many mistakes. Looking back at what they did with the team, there were so many mistakes. That extends to Dave Gettleman as well. For those of you that have been with me for a while, I didn't really think Gettleman was that bad of a GM, but the moves he made in his last year were terrible. You talk about building up the defensive tackle room just to tear it down. The cap situation we were left in, it was just like, damn.
Why aren't you going to keep your own? Why are you going to let Dalvin Tomlinson walk to sign Adoree Jackson? When
why would you extend Logan Ryan and sign Kyle Rudolph, and the money you used on those two you could have still kept Dalvin?
Right. And if you look at the numbers, someone said, I think it was Authentic that said something, and I could be wrong. Authentic, you can check me. I apologize if I am, but he said something along the lines Leonard Williams only had 6.5 sacks, and I'm like, well, that's because he didn't have Dalvin Tomlinson as the nose guard to allow him to do the things that he did. This is why I love Wink Martindale's defense, and this is probably the last thing I'll say because again, I love being on your show, but I don't want to take up any more of anyone's time. But Wink Martindale's defense is a 38% blitz rate, and what I heard him say in an interview was, we try to scheme up pressure, and someone's like, well, why would you scheme up pressure? That didn't work with James Betcher. No. Listen to what he said. He said, I'm going to scheme up pressure, which means he's going to find a way to get Leonard Williams one-on-one or Azeez Ojulari one-on-one so that you blockers have to go a certain way so your best pass rusher is freed up. And that's the philosophy I like. Not to mention the 38% blitz rate.
This is what I'll say, though, because I definitely think we should take an edge rusher high because I'm tired of taking the second, third round guys. Azeez is the exception because he was supposed to go first round, and he dropped. He's literally the exact same thing as what happened to McKinney. McKinney was supposed to be a first round pick, dropped to the second, right? But so I still want to take an edge rusher high, but I'll say this, and once again, shout out to Engraven. I've said a couple times on the channel, guys. Engraven is not only a Ravens fan, but he's a Ravens YouTuber. He came on the channel last week, and he specifically was here to talk about Don Wink Martindale. He said one thing we have that the Ravens did not have that might differ from the way he did, pass rushing in Baltimore is that we have legitimate defensive tackle in Leonard Williams that can stuff the run and push the pocket. The Ravens hadn't had that in a while. So he said, because of that, don't look at our, edge rushers and necessarily think that the performance is going to be the same. It could be the same, but it also could be different because you have somebody legitimate up the middle right there that would make the offenses focus differently and the defenses basically play differently as well.
Well, imagine if we get an edge rusher at 7. I'm on board with you. I don't think we should just go tackle guard. I think we should get an edge rusher. If Thibodeau's there, Ajabo, Karlakis, name whatever one you want. It's a flavor of the month. It's a pick 'em. Pick whatever guy you want, right? I think putting him on the outside with Azeez Ojulari and then Leonard Williams, now he has those matchups. Plus, the cornerback situation, we don't know, but let's just say they go with Aaron Robinson on the outside, right? We have a better quarterback situation. We have a better D-line situation. We can mask our deficiencies at middle linebacker because we'll have 2 edge rushers careening off that edge, right? And then what happens? You can't double team Leonard Williams because Azeez Ojulari and let's just use Karlakis are going to be wide open, right? And a guy like Karlakis, people need to understand, is very versatile. And in Wink Martindale's defense, you need a versatile kind of guy to go inside, outside, because you never know when you're playing a 4-3 or a 3-4 hybrid, right? So if you can have a guy kick inside or do many different stunts, that frees up your defense. But hey, Hub, man, thanks so much for having me on. I enjoy talking Giants football, and I will be back on the next stream that you have. So
for sure, man. Have a good one, Adam. Next person up is New York Giants, and then the S is cut off. And I'll quickly respond to Mrs. thing in the chat, and then Mrs. after New York Giants. He did bring up Calais Campbell. He also brought up the point that Calais Campbell is not the player he once was, and he basically definitely does not perform at the level that he did, which was like an elite, one of the best defensive tackles in the league type of performance, which a lot of people don't realize, but Leonard Williams is one of the best defensive tackles in the league. But New York Giants show Kion. Am I saying that right? What's up, man? How you doing? Are you there? You're muted. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, man. What's up?
You see me?
Nah.
What's up, man?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you, though. Oh, there you are, bro. What's up? Is there a delay?
What's up? It is?
Oh, how you doing? What topics you want to discuss?
Topics about the draft, Jones, like the stuff he need to improve on, and yeah.
For sure, man. Yeah, just share. Go ahead, man. Share any thoughts that you got, and we'll see where we'll go from there. Like, who do you want at 5? Who do you want at 7? What do you think to do for the draft?
In that win game and in run game, so Saquon could get to his right self and he can get better on his passing game with Bobby Johnson and the other people, and see with the 7 pick we can just trade that pick in like the second round around there, if we see the value of players in the second round.
So you would trade 7 all the way back to the second round, is what you're saying?
See, it's how many people that will like be, like in fact will want the second round. Like if the people in the first round.
All right. I think we all heard how that ended. Rest in peace, man. Miz, what's up, bro? we all heard what happened at the end, right?
That was great.
Shout out to him, man. I hope he did not get caught or anything. But what's up, Miz? How you doing?
They're off this week, so I think he's okay.
Yeah,
they're off of school this week. But hey, what's going on?
Was it the whole week? I thought it was just for President's Day.
It's President's Week. The whole week they're all off.
Oh wow! For the whole week. That's nice. But yeah,
what's going on, Hub?
I'm good, bro. How are you?
I'm all right. Had to come back on, not forget where we came from. Because to be honest, I was thinking about it today. When I started out with all of this, I just watched Entertainer. But when I really started doing some things, it started with you. Coming on your show Tuesdays in the very beginning when nobody knew me. So,
hey man, I try to give platforms to everybody to speak. It's not just you. A lot of people, they start out here on the talking, the calling show. So
yeah, it's a lot of guys out there. But no, I was just looking at some videos. I did a Thibodeau video yesterday with a little music, something different. Actually,
the guy that's right next to you,
Logan, helped me out.
Yeah,
love the guy. Honestly, the best defender in this draft. And I have an eye for that because last year I pulled out Parsons long before
you were big on Parsons from like February or January or something.
Right, man. And the year before I was nuts for Chase Young. And when you think back, it's got to make you sick to think that we could have Chase Young and Parsons in our defense right now.
I would still take Andrew Thomas all days of the week, especially with the way Chase Young looks long.
I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining.
I mean,
And
that's
that
the
was a
only
question that came up
one that I'd probably disagree with you with, because I'm like, you look at how Chase Young is, you know, some people looking at him sideways, and then Thomas is only on the up and up.
after the injury, right? No, right now, if I went back, I'm happy with Thomas. I wouldn't change it. I think Thomas is headed for a pretty big career, and I think he's the best of those four that came out that draft. Would you agree with that right now, early on?
Early on, I've said it from the moment we drafted him. If I
Right.
could, I'm about to post a video in the chat that I made like June of that year or something crazy like that, saying that he was the best tackle,
Do
or
it.
was it June of last year?
Do another video on him. Re-up. Hub, do another video on him, man. Just remind people. He's had it for
Maybe,
long, yeah.
maybe.
But yeah, because I asked a couple of my friends. Adam was one of them earlier. We speak in a private group chat, me, him, and Buko. And my question to them was, will Andrew Thomas have a all-pro career, or will he have a career with some Pro Bowls? There's a difference.
Yeah.
Not that it's a huge difference. We'll take either one. But yeah. Well, what do you think? What was your guess?
That's
I know it's early to tell.
I feel like that's a very difficult question, right? Because it's not just dependent on Andrew Thomas himself. It's also dependent on like the rest of tackle talent in the entire league. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I can answer that. Like, we look at like, there's really good tackles out there, man. And who knows where they could. There's really good tackles that are coming up in the future, like that we don't even know about right now. I definitely think he has the potential to be, you know, the latter of the two, which is I definitely think he could see a couple Pro Bowls in his time. I don't know if he'll get all pros, because all pros is really difficult to get. But I think he'll be one of the better tackles in the league over the course of his career, should he stay healthy, because he just had another surgery as well, and that is a bit concerning.
Fair enough. I think the ankles, he brought that up, Buko. I don't think the ankles these days are as big as they were years ago. It's more the knees that you worry about, and so far he's clear with that. So he also carries his weight proportionately well. So the thing is, Thibodeau, man. Thibodeau, to me, is the best edge rusher in this draft. I know some people think it's Hutchinson, not me. I think Thibodeau's easily the best and most athletic.
It's like Beetlejuice. He said his name, and a comment just came in about Thibodeau. He says, "Yo, Miz and Hub, Thibodeau reminds me of the Josh Allen in Jacksonville. What do you think?" And then shout out to Max in here as well.
I think Thibodeau's going to be better than that. I expect so much out of this kid, and some people, they poo-poo him because they think that he's lacking heart and desire. How you know he's lacking heart desire? You know him personally? What, you grew up with him? Come on. I hate when people make up stories in order to sell ratings or clickbaits, and that's all it is. Each day is a new story out there that's total nonsense. But the guy is the best in the draft. I dream of him being at 5. I don't think he's coming. I don't think he's probably not get past the Texans. And if he did and the Jets passed on him, then there's something wrong with the Jets. They'd have to have their mind examined. But I don't see him getting to 5. So that would leave me at 5 with us going. And I'm not sure Equano's going to get there either, because I think the Jets are going to get their hands on him before us realistically. So would you be happy with Cross at 5?
I would be happy at Cross at 5, yeah. Cross is not my guy. My guy is Akeem Ekwonu, you guys notice. But, and Cross, he's definitely kind of my third option, because I do think Akeem is the best tackle in the draft from what I've seen. Evan Neal's right behind him, and then you got Charles Cross. And Charles Cross is not a bad tackle. All right, let's not get it twisted. And I will say this. Shout out to Authentic in the chat, but also shout out to Bobby Skinner. Bobby is a great talent and specifically offensive line evaluator, right? That's like his forte. Right. People need to, and this is no disrespect to him. If he ever sees this, he knows it's no disrespect to him. But people need to stop taking his word as like God's gospel. Like on Twitter the other day, he tweeted out that that Cross was losing a lot of first punches or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, that's a valid point that he's bringing up. But then you got people in the comments saying, "Oh my God, this dude's not worth taking at 5. Oh my God, he shouldn't go top 10." I'm like, form your own opinions, man. Go watch the tape and form your own opinion. People are taking it like it's the absolute truth. And I'm like, Charles Cross is going to be a good right tackle. Charles Cross is going to be a fine right tackle. There are a lot of
high people that believe he's the best in the draft. There are people that believe that he's the best in the draft.
Yeah, there's some that say he's the best pass protector.
I think Ekwonu is probably. I agree with you. And I
Yeah.
wouldn't sleep on people sleeping on Evan Neal. I still think he goes 1 to Jacksonville unless they decide to go with one of the edge rushers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but if we have to settle for Cross, it's not like we're settling for like some average that that
Yeah, like
kid's.
there's still a gap between Cross and the next guy, which is like Trevor Penning. I mean, I don't know why I messed up his last name.
And I brought up to a couple guys today. You probably won't agree because I know a lot of guys are in love with this guy. But I looked at Karlaftis and then I took a look at a lot of stuff on Ajabu. And me personally, my own opinion, like you said, people don't have to run and say, "Oh, he said it," so because I'm nobody. But
Mm-hmm.
I find Ajabu to be better. I find him to be more physical off the edge, and he has a higher ceiling. I just like Ajabu a lot, man. And who knows? We'll see. I don't know.
Ojabo
I
and
know a
who?
lot of people love Karlaftis, but
Oh, well, the higher ceiling one I could definitely agree with because he's only played the position for a couple years, and he's already
yeah,
at this level after playing with it for a couple years. So I could definitely see what you and a lot of other people are saying that man, imagine what he could do with like with like some actual legit experience under his belt. He could be so good. I definitely agree with that. You already know how I feel about Karlaftis. I personally think he's the best. I mean, the third best edge rusher in this class. And I do tend at least with edge rushing, I'm like, I'd want a guy right now that has a bit more moves to use because I think it would be a good compliment to Aziz. Like Aziz was the raw guy. He's the raw, more athletic guy that we have on the edge, right? I'd kind of like it to be that. All right, now the other guy across from him is the one that's a bit more technical and a bit more strong, bull rushing and whatnot.
I'll give you 2 more, and then I'm going to ask you one question. Compare linebackers Lloyd and Walker.
Like Walker from Georgia? Hold up.
Who you would go with? Yeah, who would you want? Who would you? Walker's climbing up, man. There are people that believe he's going to come somewhere close to the 10 spot. He's slowly climbing up.
Isn't
Guy
Travon
is,
Walker an edge rusher, or am I tripping?
I think he's a linebacker that rushes off the edge.
Yeah, he's an edge rusher, right? Because I'm like,
he would fit our 3-4 system.
Nakobe Dean out of Georgia is more of a guy you want to compare
He's
to
the
Devin
other
Lloyd.
guy, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the fans want Lloyd, so okay, compare those two. Go ahead.
So I mean, yeah, with Nakobe Dean and
take?
Devin Lloyd, I think they're the two best linebackers in the class for sure. I'd probably go Dean over Lloyd. A lot of people like Devin Lloyd, especially kind of recently, but Nakobe Dean.
Right.
I mean, yes, Nakobe Dean, in my opinion, is a guy that shouldn't be slept on. He has really great side to side speed, and the dude I can't remember what school it was against, but there was a play in the end zone I was looking at where it was a running back screen. The entire team got fooled, like entirety of Georgia. All you see is red jerseys, like running over to the side. Oh no, it was a fake screen. My bad. It was run over to the side of running back because it's a fake screen. Nakobe Dean is the only dude that had his eyes on the quarterback and kept it, and then ran up and stopped the quarterback from going anywhere. Like cerebral, really fast, great instincts. I think he's kind of not necessarily falling, but people are sleeping on him a little bit.
Yeah, again, don't buy everything you hear because you'll come up to a day before the draft and all these guys will fall back into the original spots we thought they would. I've seen that in drafts a lot. But what I wanted to ask you, so at 7, you would go edge rusher or linebacker. You would go Karlaftis.
It depends. All depends on how the board falls, man. All depends on how the board falls. It depends what we do on 5 as well, right? But it all depends on how the board falls.
Well, assume we take Cross at 5 because we have to come out of here with a big offensive line, and we have to. Mm-hmm. We cannot come out of this without a lineman.
Okay, I'll say this right now. If we take a tackle, any of the tackles at 5, I would really, really like to go defense at 7, whether that's an edge rusher or a linebacker. Personally, I'm not a guy that would take Sauce Gardner or Derek Stingley if they're there at 7. I think you do that probably next year. We have bigger needs, but I definitely go middle linebacker or edge rusher at 7.
I'll tell you, I'll be very upset if we took a secondary player in the first 2 picks. I don't think they are going to, but we have some young secondary players that we could develop that we drafted last year, and so, and the last thing, and I'll let you go because I know you have other people waiting. Hope, thanks for having me. Daniel Jones. I'm going to tell people what's going to happen with Daniel Jones, and this is exactly what's going to happen with Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is going to be here for a year, okay? unless he knocks the ball totally out of the ballpark, the Giants will be drafting their quarterback in 2023, which is a better class of quarterbacks, and that's just the way it's gonna go.
I tend to agree with you there. Unless exactly what you said, he just like he does something that I'm not expecting. He comes out here, throws for like 4,500 yards, like 30 something touchdowns, turnovers
Even
are gone.
29, 30. 30
Like,
touchdowns leads them to the playoffs. That's something we wouldn't expect, you know? And then,
yeah. But hey, man, Miz, thank you for calling in, bro. Guys,
thanks,
make sure
bro.
you check out his channel. Pretty sure
Again,
he got something
appreciate you
coming up
having me.
tomorrow as well, man. But have a good one.
I think I'll have a Selmwood Sports Opinion tomorrow. If you're around, check it up. It doesn't matter. This guy is Hub Up to Hub. Good stuff, Hub.
Thank you, Miz. Have a good one, bro.
Thank you.
Peace. Now, next up, we got Giants Opinion Sports, then Mike Green, then CJ, then Logan. Giants Opinion Sports, man. What's up, bro? How you doing? And first of all, guys, you need to go check out this man's channel. I can't recommend it enough, man. Go ahead, bro.
Thanks, Hub. What's going on, man? What's up? Can I clear the air real quick?
Yeah, sure. I saw you doing it in chat. I hope I was not part of the guys that were kind of like
no. Well, Adam always says like, hold on. This is a sore subject about Daniel Jones to talk about. Talk about my mama. You talk about my wife. I'm gonna get upset. I don't care what you say about Daniel Jones. I don't care. But what people do is somehow it's like people come up when I'm an apologist. They say, well, people like you just evaluate what's wrong with the team and do not. I don't say nothing. I literally don't say nothing in the chat. It's like I'm being labeled into this little corner with some group of Giants fans. It's ridiculous. I don't care. Talk about Daniel Jones. I don't care. If that stuck over him, go for it. Talk to your faces blue. I don't care. Don't bother me a bit.
And what up, Wild Child and Jonathan?
And he's gone.
So, like I said, I didn't bring you on to talk about Daniel Jones. You know what I'm saying? It seems like people are mislabeling you on that topic.
Yeah,
but when it comes to free agency and the draft, because I did manage. I think I saw a linebacker video, and we had one guy in common. You talked about Josie Jewell well as your linebacker video. So if you want to talk about him a little bit, I want to get your thoughts on him. Whether you had a little bit different from what I said or something like that. But go ahead.
Well, Wink likes some really fast, athletic linebackers. He's not really that. But what I've seen is he's pretty much really good at everything. He's not going to be the fastest guy on the field, but he's good in coverage. He's not going to be burnt toast there. I actually even saw on tape him quite a few times slam up the middle and give some good blitz pressures and all that. So he just seems like all around he fits Wink's scheme. I think he'd be great. Now the question is, can he come in here and stay healthy? I mean, that's a big question with a lot of players nowadays, but he has been hurt repeatedly.
The pectoral, right?
And it was something else before that. It's like every year, he's one of them players. Like every year, it's something with him. So I love him though. I think he's a good fit here.
Anybody else you had your eye on? I think I don't know. Do you agree we're probably going to be dumpster diving in terms of just because where we're going to be with the cap situation, or do you think what do you think we're going to do once we somehow get to 40 million? And even then, of the 40 million, we can't use all of it.
Well, yeah, I've been looking at like low end, mid-level contracts for guards, maybe even a possible swing tackle, middle linebacker, cornerback, and I even think it's possible we get like a low end wide receiver or something this offseason. So yeah,
I was saying,
low end.
Who did I say in my video? That guy from Kansas City, that's their third option, Byron Pringle. I was saying could be somebody we'll look into.
All right.
He's been signing, I think, like 1 year, $2.75 million deals over like the past 4 years. If he continues that trend, I'm be like, go for it.
I think Sammy Watkins is a possibility too. Somebody like that.
Yeah, Sammy.
Cheap. And I think he knows Dable's system as well. So he could probably just slide it in, help other receivers learn what they need to do. Yeah, maybe like a Juju Smith-Schuster. I figured he'd want to stay in Pittsburgh, but because I think Shep's probably cut. We saved $4 million. He's not going to play pretty much all next year anyway. So maybe bring in Juju. I kind of figured he wants to stay in Pittsburgh, but now with Big Ben's gone, maybe he'd rather go to a winning team. But
he probably would want to go to a winning team or something. But then what I'm thinking about with Juju is he's going to cost probably somewhere around 10 mil, which I'm like, can we afford that?
You think so? Because he signed like a 1 year prove-it deal last year. I think it was $4 million, and he got hurt. Like he only played like 4 games last year, and he wasn't very good when he played.
There's no way it was $4 million. Ain't no way, because that is
pretty low, man.
Cheap. Let's see his contract.
I think if he got in that 4 or 5 million range, to be completely honest with you, on a 1 year deal, prove-it deal.
So according to Spot Track, as soon as this page loads, He signed, and they're not even telling me what he signed. Oh yeah, it was a 1 year, $8 million deal, $8 million deal.
Oh yeah, it was more than I thought.
Yeah.
Well, I think he kind of proved he ain't worth $8 million. So I still think you get him a couple mil cheaper than that. So maybe you pay him 6 or
Do you
something.
think he'd go cheaper? No, I think people would pay him around that $8 million deal. Now there is one way to do this. I think it's over the cap. They usually have a pretty good contract projection, kind of thing right here. And I'm gonna see if I could find what they're saying he's like, what his market is projected at. If I just go to NFL wide receiver free agents, and it would just pop up.
The reason why I'm thinking a lot of players are going to come cheaper this year is because people aren't talking about there is not a lot of cap room right now. And maybe teams obviously have a lot of moves to make and free up a lot more money. It just seems like there's always, in every position, there's always 10, 12 guys that there's no cap left for, and they have no choice but to sit out or to sign cheap.
Mm-hmm. Now,
it seems like some of these players can hold on to, like, they want too much and then hold out too long and end up getting nothing.
You mentioned Sammy Watkins, another guy, another veteran guy, maybe even more proven than Sammy Watkins. I think we should probably consider looking into. What do you think about a guy in T.Y. Hilton if he finally leaves Indianapolis?
I actually made a video on him.
You did? But
yeah,
because I'm looking at the thing right now. I'm looking at the spot rack free agents, and his market value is like $6 million. That's doable. That's very doable in my opinion.
Yeah, and when he played last year, he only played like 40% of the snaps because he was dinged up all year. Mm-hmm. I think he's still a guy that you can bring him in and give you 700, 900 yards production if he plays with it. And I thought he was like a injured player his whole career. I looked it up. He's only missed like 17 games his whole career, so he's pretty much always played. Last year was one of his only years he got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So I really think cornerback is going to be the big filler need this year, because everybody's like, what about Rodarius Williams? Every time I talk about quarterbacks, I get this Rodarius Williams, like, guys, dude's like a 6th round. Like, he did look good when he was out there, but the regular season he got hurt right off the bat and tore his ACL. So, I mean, I'm not going to count on him going to the season. But what do you think of Robert Alford?
Robert Alford? That's a name I haven't heard in a long time, man. How's he been doing?
He played with Arizona last year, but I'm pretty sure you remember him with Atlanta, right?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, how has he done recently? I'm just completely transparent here. I don't know how he's done recently. So just give me
last year he posted his 2nd highest coverage grade of his career 68, and he's been in all kinds of like man heavy, cover 3. He could play man or zone. Like, I really like him. I think he could be, again though, you're running into like injuries. Can you count on the guy for a whole season? Probably not, but I think he could slide in comfortably as a number 2 here, and you could probably get him for $4 or $5 million. He's a little older now.
Yeah, he's what is it going to be, like 8 years in the NFL now? I think that was 2013 when he came in, 2014, somewhere around there. So if you could listen at this point, if you could get any good / average cornerback in this room for cheap, I'm with it. So Robert Alford, you fit that bill. Just stay healthy. I'm with that. You guys watched my past couple videos. You know I'm a big fan of Levi Wallace, but I'm definitely expecting for him to get a payday. And I'm scrolling down this
He's a zone guy, Hub.
What's up?
Wallace, he's a zone guy.
I think he can do good here though, man. It's the same thing I was saying with Jimmy Smith. I think that corners, like, once they play all at an almost elite level in one thing, they usually transition well. Of course, that's me being completely optimistic, right?
You want a sleeper for cornerback?
What about Sidney Jones? Bring him back to the NFC East.
Oh, he'd be good. He'd be good. He'd be really good. He's great in man coverage.
He was just with Seattle for a $1.75 million deal, so I'd bring him back.
Yep.
Give him like $3 million, $3 million.
There's a guy that plays for the Steelers. My wife's a Steelers fan. His name's Akella Witherspoon. He's always been hurt, but when he plays, man, he is great. He would be a perfect person to bring in here. He
was another guy that's also, like, obviously everybody was talking about a cheap deal, but for the chat, Akella Witherspoon was on, I think, a $4 million deal. That's per year, obviously. So could be.
And he's like sneaky, grades out really well. He's obviously you're not going to get top of the league here, but I mean, he really can come in and fill in for James Bradbury Admiral, I think. Somebody asked me about Bryce Callahan. Like, if Aaron Robinson can play outside, maybe you bring in Bryce Callahan. He's a really nice slot guy, and that could be one route to go.
And kind of shifting a little bit from cornerback to the offensive side now, because I see Alford brought up running back. I haven't looked at running back free agents just because just draft the running back, man. And this is a really good running back class. How do you feel about that? Would you sign another guy to be behind Barkley, or will you try and draft somebody in those mid rounds this year?
I hear a lot of people say I want a running back in the 4th, 5th. I'm kind of like neutral on it. First of all, I don't know what they're going to do with Booker. I mean, by the time they clear up some of the bigger players and move around what they want with a contract, are they really going to like go nuts over his $2 million saving? It's just a really big question mark. Like some things I have a better idea about. With running back, I don't know. I mean, I guess if there's nobody there you're liking and later in the round, grab them. But I'm just kind of like neutral on that, really. I haven't looked at running backs at all in free agency either, so I don't know any of them really.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, is saying we haven't really seen anything of him. So, I mean, maybe this coaching staff sees something in him and they try and use him. This man was not used at all last year. Crazy.
yeah, that was kind of frustrating.
And then, like you were saying, Devontae Booker, I think, is more than worth his contract, especially because of how many times last year he was called upon. And as the season went on, he got better. In my opinion, like his running got better. He even looked a bit faster as the season got on. Brightwell retired?
Did.
What?
Are the Giants that bad?
Wait, Brightwell retired? Nah, there's no way. This man was just drafted. What are you talking? Hold up. Gary Brightwell.
Oh,
Bro, Logan is trolling, bro. He's trolling. I'm not seeing anything on this, bro. This man is trolling. Oh my god. Bro, can I pick up tone through text? It's hard, all right? I'm sorry. Damn, it scared me for a second. God damn. Oh, my bad. What were we talking about, bro?
I don't know. You're just talking about running backs, free agency, or something.
Yeah, hey,
It's kind of bouncing around all over.
Yeah, let me bounce it to you, man. You got any specific thoughts you want to talk about when you came on here?
I don't know. I just popped in because you asked me to pop in. I've been really just heavy in free agency and just doing my little scouting here and there, but
Yeah.
no, not really. I mean, anything you talk about with our draft picks are kind of just running over the same names, same things. I will say this though, it's like, all right, we get our tackle with the 5 pick, number 7. I just feel like anybody that you pick there, you're going to be like a little underwhelmed with it. Like no matter who it is, like everybody's just going to be a little, oh, well, good player, but was he worth the 7 pick? Like even if you take Stingley, who's like an amazing player, but
so are you saying we should trade
but
down?
he's
Because I
always
agree with
hurt.
you.
Should we? Yeah, if you get your tackle at 5, then yeah. I mean, if you go a different route with your 5th pick, then tackle, then if you go if Kayvon drops at 5, then I think you could feel good about it because then you get your tackle at 7. But yeah, if all the 2 edge rushers are gone, the big edge rushers, Kayvon, Aiden, if they're gone, and you take your tackle to 5 pick, I just feel like 7, no matter what. I've thought about all these names, Nakobe Dean, all of them. It's just kind of like, okay, but So I'd like to move back with that 7 if we get a tackle with the 5 pick. That's just my feeling at this point. I wasn't thinking like that earlier, even a couple weeks ago. So
I wasn't thinking like that a couple
Yeah,
weeks ago either, but I'm kind of on the, hey, if it's there, trade back train for sure. I'd at this point, I'd really love to be trade back. We pick somewhere in like that 12 to 15, maybe even 16 range. I think that would be nice. We could still get a really good player, and of course, we get additional assets. I'm all in for it.
because say you take Karlaftis at 7, it's like, yeah, good player, great, but at 7, like, it's just I'd like to get Karlaftis. Like, I mean, it's very nitpicky at this point. You'd like to get him after 10, me personally, anyways. But like, and I like David Ojabo probably more than a lot of people. I see him going in the 2nd round, but like, you pick him at 7. I'm okay living with an off years until he develops. Like, I think it's something giant. Like Dave Gettleman has went the high floor, low ceiling route to fill the team out. I wouldn't mind taking a couple picks in the draft and just going for a home run. Maybe it don't work out year 1, but in 2-3 years, you got a JPP or something similar on your team. That's something we need to start getting on this team, is just some big superstars here and there.
So let me ask you one thing real quick before I let you go and get Mike Green on here. Because you mentioned Ojabo, I want to hear what you think about Jermaine Johnson, who after Senior Bowl was getting a lot of hype, and he rose up very quickly on draft boards.
See, I love him, but I don't like him where people are starting to talk about him.
They were starting to talk about him like
7th pick.
Yeah, they were starting to talk about him at the 7 to the Giants. I'm like, oh, slow your horses now. I don't think he's that good.
No, he needs some pass rush moves. I like he's a high effort guy. I like them guys that just are aggressive and are high effort. That'll get you sacks. That'll get you production. There's just some things that are missing there. He's just. I feel like his ceiling is, maybe you can get him 6, 7 Pro Bowls. He can get you that 12, 13 sack area. I mean, I'm talking my ass when I talk about this kind of stuff, but I just feel like that's the ceiling. But when you're talking about somebody like a Jabo, it's like, holy moly. I mean, this guy could be a top 10 edge rusher in a few years if everything breaks right for him. So I'd like to see JJ go somewhere in that 15, 16 area right now as it stands. Because, I mean, he's got stuff to work on. That's all. It's probably not a popular take, but it's just how I feel. After I watched probably 6 or 7 games on him. So, yeah. Wish he had a little bit more of everything. You know what I mean? Wish he had a little bit more pass rush moves. Wish he got up the line a little bit better, carried a little bit better. So, yeah.
Hey, man. Listen, I want to thank you for coming in, bro. I really appreciate it, man. And thank you for being a member of the channel as well. That's also really great, bro.
No problem, man. No problem. I started doing these because of you and Entertainer. I started doing videos on YouTube.
And I'll tell you what, they're really good. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, you guys really need to check it out, especially for people that probably don't have time to go and watch film or, break it down themselves or watch the longer film sessions on YouTube. This man makes great content, just like for that crowd and for anybody, honestly, but specifically for that crowd, anybody that just wants to get a little taste of these players and, help form their own opinions, go check out his channel. You're not going to be disappointed.
Some scouting on the run.
Exactly. Have a good one, bro.
All right, man. Peace.
Next up, we got Mike Green, and I'm going to pop on Mike Green, but I haven't addressed the chat in a while. So what up, chat? I see Spin City in here, Nerding Out Sports. There was somebody else that popped in. Quan in there. Was that the only new person? The Earl. What's up, the Earl? How you doing, man? I'm trying to see if I missed any questions. I don't think I missed any questions. I think you guys are kind of conversing with each other, which, yeah, that's nice. I'm just trying to make sure here I didn't miss anything that you guys wanted to ask me specifically. I did not look at Bo Melton's. Did not. I will look into him, though. You're not the first person that told me to look into him. All right, let me get Mike Green in here. Mike, what's up, man? How you doing?
What's going on, Hub? What's happening?
I'm good, bro. Where you from? Where's that accent from?
Oh, I'm from Mississippi, remember? And got a little bit of Tennessee, too.
Oh, all down south there, man. How you doing?
Oh, yeah. I'm good, man. I'm good. Ready to talk some Giants football. What's happening?
Hey, man, well, I'm good, too. But in terms of topic, what you want to do? Off-season, draft, Saquon, Daniel?
Honestly, we won't know what we do in the draft till we do free agency. Because free agency, you'll know what holes in the draft you need to fulfill because you know who you decide. First of all, I must say that it would be nice to one day have a conversation with Big Fist. There will be love. And secondly, I feel like he had a point. I think Joe Shane gonna buy an offensive line this offseason and probably focus on defense in the draft because these tackles and guards and even Linderbaum, which is probably the best center to come out the draft in a while, you don't know what they're going to do in the pros. But you're going to know what you're getting out of Tariq Armstead, a Brandon Sheriff, or a Jensen. You know what they're going to do. They're Pro Bowlers for a reason. So I think he's going to bottom line in free agency and focus on defense in the draft to make this good defense a great one.
So here's my question to you, right? Obviously, the biggest thing here is going to be cap space. Can you even afford one of those guys you mentioned with the way our cap situation is right now?
Right now, no, but restructuring can happen. We're going to let people go.
We're going to let a lot of people go to get to that 40 million, basically.
So I'm saying like if we want Daniel Jones to be successful, we got Saquon Barkley. We have to do something up front. So why not get proven veterans who what you're paying for. You know what you're getting. The draft is a crapshoot. It could be good and it could be Flowers. And everybody that's a Giants fan do not want to relive Erik Flowers anymore. So it just depends. But yeah, if you move the money around, it's ways to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
It's
The
ways
thing
to
is
fit
with
it
the
in.
restructuring, and there's been a couple of reports on this. They're not sure if the Giants are going to move that restructuring route because it's kind of what got them in, or partly as to why we're in the hole that we're in right now. Because we did, I think, 3 or 4 restructures last year that pushed the money back to this year, which is why we're in a hole for this year. So if we push it back for next year, it's going to be kind of like continuously pushing that money back. It's doable, right? It's definitely doable. I'm not shooting it down, but it does raise a concern there. But I'm just like, with these tackles, right? Erik Flowers was not supposed to go where he went. Like, Erik Flowers was not, even at draft time, people were
That was
questioning the
supposed
pick.
to be Todd Gurley all day.
Even
That
at
was supposed
draft,
to be
yeah,
Todd
right. That's
Gurley
why
all
I'm
day.
like, it's a different situation when you bring up, for example, Erik Flowers, then you bring up the guys like the guys we're talking about right now. You know, it's just like last year when you bring up the guys like Sewell and Slater, and the year before Thomas, Wirfs, and those guys. Like, they are, unlike Erik Flowers around draft time, who was not supposed to go. Where was it? Was it 11 or 12 or something? We picked him?
No, we picked him
ninth, who was not supposed to go ninth. These guys, you know, and the other guys I mentioned are supposed to go there. It's just like, you're right. At the end of the day, the draft, we don't know what we're getting. The sure thing is in free agency. But there's a high probability that these guys are going to pan out, I guess I could say. Because then I could use that for the edge rushers as well. I could use that, you know, for the linebackers as well. Like, these same guys, let's look at Clelin Ferrell, who went 4th overall. Right? What was that, 2020 or 2021? Right? That would be my Erik Flowers examples for the edge rusher.
2019 with the Raiders.
2019, yeah. Like, that would be my Saquon Barkley.
I still can't believe that happened.
Yeah, my O-line thing for their D-line.
Okay. You know what? I'm gonna open your mind a little bit, Hub. Check this out. I'm gonna see, would you pull this trigger? I don't see this happening, but anything is possible in the National Football League. Check this out. If the Houston Texans call you on draft night, they say, give me the 5th pick, give me Daniel Jones, give me a 3rd this year and a 3rd next year for Deshaun Watson, are you doing it?
That's cheap. We still keep the 7th?
And we still keep the 7th.
Yeah, I do it because that's cheap. That's cheap. A first?
It's gonna be cheap.
A first,
Dan?
you know, Daniel, and 2/3?
Yes.
What? I don't think that's happening, bro. But if you know it's on the table, I'm taking it. But I don't think that's happening. I really don't think that's happening.
Reason why I say that, one, Deshaun Watson does not want to play for them.
I mean, John Mara doesn't want Deshaun Watson to play here either. He said that already, but
then on top of it as well, this is the same organization that talk about we ain't for the trade Odell.
Yeah, but that was from Gettleman, not from Mara, though.
Beckham and got
no, I agree with you.
He gone.
But there's a difference from that coming from Dave Gettleman and then this Watson thing coming straight from Mara in an interview when they asked him.
Okay.
But if it's on the table, I'm taking it. If it's on the table, I am taking it.
Me too. But see, here's the thing about it. You didn't commit. You haven't committed to that 5th year option yet. So you're going to be looking for a quarterback next offseason anyway. If you don't, status of his neck, you don't know how healthy he is.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody ain't, well, I have no problem with DJ. DJ Farr is, when it come to me, he ain't had nothing to work with. Weapons always hurt, line atrocious, and coaching staff don't. The only one that semi know what they were doing, they only got 1 year, gone. Joe Judge, that was a waste of time. So DJ never really got a fair shot with somebody that actually keep up today's offense and give him an opportunity and a chance to show what he can really do. But the organization ain't commit to this dude past this year.
Mm-hmm.
So, and let's not we ain't finna act like Deshaun Watson ain't top 5 QB. John Mary say no because he don't want the publicity for them silver suits. If them silver suits is sold and gone by the draft, and Deshaun Watson can play, and he wants to come here, because remember he got no trade clause, he can waive it to go wherever he want.
I would
So
just
he
say these
wants to
are a lot of
come here.
ifs. These are a lot of ifs.
I'm just saying, like it's the off season. Anything is possible.
It's a lot of ifs, but it could
And
happen.
if that happened, you can still take a tackle at 7.
Hey,
And
man,
you got
I
a
don't
franchise
listen.
QB.
I don't think that deal will be on the table because that's too cheap for Watson. Like a guy that plays at his level, that's kind of too cheap. But
See,
yeah,
here's the thing about it though. They can't ask for much because they already denied 3 first-round
you there?
picks and the Eagles.
Mm-hmm. You cut out for a second, so I didn't hear what you
So
said.
I said they denied 3 first-round picks for the 49ers and the Eagles last year. So they're not going to get no better package. And then on top of that, with the 5th pick, okay, here, check this out. First of all, Houston taking a QB. I don't think they just believe in David Mills. You could get your QB and a franchise tackle with the 3rd and 5th pick. And you get rid of a disgruntled quarterback that don't want to be there. And then on top of it as well, that's questions that teammates ain't got to answer. So, how does Sean feel today? Do Deshaun want to still be a part of this team? They don't want them problems.
All I'm saying is that it's a lot of ifs, and probably the biggest if is him wanting to come to the Giants. I can see a lot of teams.
He said he wanted. He said he wanted to come.
I gotta look this up. When did Deshaun Watson say he wanted to come to the Giants?
When we were about to interview Brian Flores.
That's a very different situation from right now. Because he wanted to be with Flores. I was actually about to say a team I could see him want to go to was Pittsburgh, and it just so happens that Flores is there right now as their linebackers coach. But I could see him 100% going to Pittsburgh and that working out.
I can see that too. I can see it. You know what? I heard you and a Giant opinion. First of all, that man does great content. I checked it out. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's a running back a lot of people not talking about that's going to be a free agent. And he's coming off a knee injury, but when healthy, he does a lot of explosive things for your offense, and that's Raheem Mostert from the 49ers. He's going to be cheap.
Well,
31 from 49ers.
I know. I'm trying to see what his market value is. What do you think he's going to sign?
I mean, he coming out back-to-back knee injuries, so you probably get him for $3 to $5 million on a 1-year deal to prove that he's back and healthy.
If we could get him on like a similar deal that he was just at with the 49ers, he just, back in 2019, he signed a 3-year, basically $8 million deal with them. I wouldn't be mad about that. Would not be mad about that. So Raheem Mostert, yeah.
And just think about, you take out Saquon Barkley and you put in Raheem Mostert, you done added more speed on the field that just left.
But I will say this, right? We talk about running backs all the time with knee injuries and with age, because I think he's 28 now. Is definitely not the right side of 25 to be for. Like, there's a reason people say running backs have short shelf life. So you got to wonder, how good is he going to come back?
Well, here's 2 things. One, he ain't gonna be the primary back. He was a primary back in San Francisco. He ain't gonna be there in New York. And then 2, for a 3rd down situational back, he'll be perfect for this offense for Brian Dable. He'll just be a better version of Devin Singletary.
What do you think about? I'm trying to look at who's on the market here. What do you think about Phillip Linsley?
That's another great field.
because he's younger too. Like I really am
Yeah,
considering the age. I would like to take a stab at Phillip Linsley. Marlon Mack, if he's gonna be cheap, would be one as well.
Marlon Mack is, when healthy, a powerful, fluid runner who you know can get you 1,000 to 1,500 yards easy.
Marlon Mack would be nice, man. Yeah.
Yes, he would.
Oh, even Royce Freeman, the other guy that was in Denver at one point with Phillip Lindsay. Yeah, there's a couple dudes out
Yeah,
there.
Russ. And we still got to find a receiver to play Shep. It really breaks my heart to say that, but Shep is gone. It's a wrap.
Mm-hmm.
It's too many injuries. Juju would be a nice fit. Sammy Watkins would be fine. Jamison Crowder would be nice too.
Jameson
You
Crowder.
know what? I don't see this happening, but it would, because I never thought Deshaun Jackson would ever play for the Eagles again, but he did. Would you flip out your chair if you get word that OBJ come back home?
No, I would like that. I would like
No,
that.
I'm saying, will you flip out your chair with joy?
Yes and no. All depends on the contract, man. We can't be signing this dude to like anything more than, because he's gonna be worth more than like 14, 15 million, but we can't afford that. Like for real. But I would love to have OBJ back. I would love to have that man back.
You
But
think
he's
it's gonna
definitely,
be
come on, bro.
14, 15?
He's staying in. He either staying in LA. You know what I'm saying? Congratulations to him. He got the ring. Or he may consider retirement. I know he's, he's 29, but he kind of did everything that needs to be done in the NFL career as well. So it's like, who knows? But let me get your last thought here, Mike Green, because I see CJ almost falling asleep back here. I'm popping him in, and I'm going to close out the show.
All right. My last thought is, well, first of all, I'm thinking about doing videos myself on YouTube and get this channel built up. But secondly, if whatever we do with the 5th or 7th pick, even if we trade back, as long as it's going to elevate the franchise, I'm cool with it. But
You know what?
don't be surprised
Yeah.
if Kyle Hamilton is a Giant.
Okay. Y'all know how I feel about taking Kyle Hamilton, bro. All right.
I know, bro. I know.
Man.
But I'm just,
when you got the Kyle Hamilton fan and Ash Money saying don't take the man, come on, that should tell you something. And it's not because he's a great player. It's just we need. Oh, all right, man. I'm done. Let me not speak on Kyle Hamilton. I'm gonna blow a gasket. Yo, Mike, have a good one, man. Have a good one, bro.
You be blessed too, bro. Peace.
Yo, peace. Oh man, that man brought up Kyle Hamilton, y'all. There's just no way. There's no way. Let me get CJ on there. CJ, what's up? Are you growing a stash?
Growing?
Yeah.
No. I haven't shaved this thing since last year.
Yeah, so you're growing one.
No.
That's called growing one. Like what?
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Kush, you know you're my boy. And I support this channel any way I can. However, I got a bone to pick with you. Listen, I've been going over this all season now for well over 2 weeks. I've scouted a bunch. I've scouted a bunch of talent. At our primary needs: edge rusher, linebacker, tackle, guard. There's about 7 realistic players that I could definitely see the Giants taking at 5 and 7. And I'll get into my entire off-season predictions in a minute. However, as much as I like Karloffis, I really do. I want to love him. He's not a fit he's just not a fit for this scheme. To me, the more and more I look at him, and I love this player a lot. But I see Trey Hendrickson for the Bengals. And don't get me wrong, in a perfect world, if we could get our edge rusher and tackle at 5 and 7, perfect. It's just that outside of Hutchinson and Thibodeau, I don't see an edge rusher worthy of being in the top 10. Now, I do think Karloff is going to go into the top 10. The teams that I have, the teams on my board that I have selected him are just overall better fits. Like, as of right now, spoiler alert for my first mock, I have Karloff as going to the Jets at 10. Because I just think with the aspect that Neil is going to go 1, how in the hell is Thibodeau going to fall to us at 5? Like, I could see him falling out of the top 3 picks potentially.
I legitimately don't think he's. Listen, I don't think he's gonna be there. I really don't. I think some of this is not necessarily smoke, but it's just draft talk that happens. But I think he's going inside the top 5 for sure.
Top 5? Oh, over Hamilton. Because I assume that.
No, I'm just saying he's gonna be gone. Basically, is what I'm saying.
Oh, you mean Thibodeau?
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking Karloffis. But yeah, it's just the more and more I see Karloffis, I see Trey Hendrickson, I see our former rival, Ryan Kerrigan. I just see more of your prototypical 4-3 edge rusher. He's too big to be playing outside, and he's kind of too small. I mean, he is a very, very powerful interior edge rusher. But
interior edge rusher. What does that mean?
Well, in a 4-3 defensive end, you're more so playing on the interior than you are outside. Like most 4-3 edges, a la Tug, we moved them around all over the place. Like, he spent just as much time inside as he did outside.
Call me crazy, because my pro comparison for Karloffis is Justin Tuck.
I can see that. I can actually see it. Very long arms, very powerful, great technique, so good with his hands. Again,
he's one of the best, if not the best, in the draft with his hands. And extremely explosive. Let me just respond to a couple things you said, right? Because I kind of see a bit of Justin Tuck in him, but like, if he's Trey Hendrickson, I'm fine with that as well. This is a guy that people said is not a legit edge rusher when he was with the Saints. Goes to the Bengals, gets 14 sacks. Part of the reason that Bengals pass rushing group was so good in the playoffs, and, they went all the way to the Super Bowl. Obviously, Ryan Kerrigan. That's one that at first, before I looked at him, I heard a lot, and even myself was saying once again before I actually went and looked at the tape, and I don't see it that much. Honestly, I really don't see it that much, because he's just built different than Ryan Kerrigan.
He's bigger and more explosive.
Yeah, he's just bigger and more explosive. But the thing that I can never agree with you on is when you say that he's a 4-3 guy only, because literally when he played stand-up more than he played in the dirt, and they used him as a 3-4 outside linebacker more at Purdue than anything else. Like, what? And then the argument you said he's too big to play outside. So is JPP too big to play outside? Because JPP is still 270-something.
Well, to be fair, Jason Pierre-Paul...
He's an athletic freak. He's an athletic freak, right? Well,
Yeah,
what you need to be on that outside, the explosiveness, that's what he has. To be on
I
that all
guess it's just,
OLB.
I guess it's just my philosophy as far as what do I envision in a 3-4 scheme. I just feel as though that if we're not going to find our Dalvin Tomlinson replacement, I almost rather find another Aziz type of edge rusher where he's just dynamite coming off the
You want to
edge.
have the raw athletic guy basically.
Exactly. I'm more
And
the
I
more
don't
and more I
mind
look
that.
at
Like I was saying earlier, I guess this is a personal preference thing. I think we have our raw athletic guy, so I want somebody that has the hand technique, that has it down, that's, that could just come in and be the opposite of him.
yeah,
If the raw athleticism isn't working on one end, then get to the quarterback with the technique and the power.
yeah. And again, and listen, I could be proven wrong if Carl Office comes out and he's a top 20, top 25 edge rusher, after his first year, I'll fold my hands and say, listen, Wig Martindale is a defensive mastermind, okay? I call him when we initially got him, I said he's baby Spags. Like the more and more, because my best friend is a Baltimore Ravens fan. And so I used to watch a ton of Ravens tape when I heard that he was going to be our potential head coach going back 2 years ago. So I'm a big Wig Martindale fan. I think he's a match made in heaven for us. As a matter of fact, I'm going to give you a key player that I think is going to potentially break out. And we were both kind of scratching our heads at this pick last year. But I think under Wing Martindale, he's going to be something special, and that's Aaron Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
I really think with his size, physicality, he loves to play press man. He loves to play press man to man. I think he's gonna absolutely blossom, under Wing Martindale's leadership. Which brings me on to my next question. And then I'll dip out and let you get back to your callers. I want to play a hypothetical,
Mm-hmm.
okay, with you. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, doesn't matter the order, that the first 4 picks is Hutchinson, Thibodeau, Neal, and let's just say Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
You're sitting there at 5. You take who do you think is the best available tackle?
So you said who went again? Hutchinson, Neal.
Hutchinson, Thibodeau, Neal, and Hamilton.
Hutchinson, Thibodeau, Neal, and Hamilton. Oh, then I'm taking Akeem, bro. No question, I'm taking Akeem.
Oh no. Well, like I said, for me, it's a 1. For me, it's a 1B, 1C type of thing with the tackles. I love Akeem. I really, really do. I just feel as though with about to say Wink, with Andy Reid, with Dable and Mike Kafka's type of offense, I feel as though with their particular schemes, the offensive line is going to have to be more tactical.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be more about setting an edge and being more polishedness, which is why I favor Cross by a hair. But that wasn't my hypothetical. You take whoever you think is the best tackle at 5. What's the farthest do you look to trade down from 7? And if so, what key position are you mostly targeted, and what's the farthest you're willing to go down?
So I take my tackle at 5, and then I trade down. What am I targeting? I'm definitely going to look at one of those middle linebackers because I think they'd still be there if I'm somewhere around that 12 to 16 range is what I'm going to try and get at that point.
Okay. And again, where's the farthest that you would go?
16, probably.
Really? The farthest I probably go is
I mean, that could
is to the
change as time goes
Steelers.
on, but I'm like, I don't want to get too far away.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, the farthest I probably would consider go would be the Steelers at 20, but even then you might be out of the sweepstakes for definitely four of the pass rushers will probably be gone, and Lloyd might be gone. So 12 with Minnesota, and I believe the Saints at 18 is probably the farthest I'll ever attempt to go. And before I go last question.
You've said that already like 2 times.
I know, but then I just had a better one in mind. Excuse me, deeper positional, deeper draft as far as position goes. Linebacker or interior of the O-line?
Linebacker without a doubt. I'm a strong believer that you could get a starting mic in the 3rd round, particularly 2 guys, Brandon Smith and Chad Moore.
I have one going in my round 2 mock. I'll just save it there. All right, Kush, thank you for inviting me on. Nice mustache.
Hey, have a good one, man.
All right, peace.
Now I do have 2 more people popping in. Like I said, I was gonna try and end it a bit early, but I'm gonna pop y'all in and basically ask y'all to just ask you 2 questions real quick.
Got some new product from Savage Fancy for July.
Let me do this real quick. First one up is Manny, and then AB. Go ahead, man. What's your 2 quick questions?
What's up?
What's up, bro?
Yo, how you doing, man? How you doing?
I'm good.
Appreciate
How are
you for doing this. Good. Hey, see, do you think I'm crazy for thinking that Ikem Ekwonu is the best offensive lineman in the draft overall?
Overall,
like I think he's like this is why.
Yeah.
I get that Evan Neal is probably the best tackle in the draft, and I get Kenyon Green is probably the best interior lineman in the draft. I know people like Linderbaum, but I think Kenyon Green is better. But I think Ikem Ekwonu can slip into either position and be very serviceable. I'm not saying Evan Neal can or Kenyon Green can't, but when Evan Neal played guard in Alabama, he was okay. He wasn't looked as good as he is as tackle. And Kenyon Green at tackle, same thing. But Ikem Ekwonu literally is bodying fools at both positions, guard and tackle. And what CJ Sports Talk was talking about earlier with Ikem Ekwonu, and I think he fits in any system. And I think
I do think so as well. I think that as well, yeah.
I get Quentin Nelson vibes with him. I think you put him at tackle, guard, whatever. I think he's giving your team the best chance to put the 5 best offensive linemen on this team, which is something we've never had. He could be our version of David Deal, you know?
I mean, I agree with you because I don't know why I reacted that way, because I think I've said before he's my favorite tackle and my best tackle. And I love Linderbaum, but I'm not as high as him as a lot of people are. So, yeah, I guess technically that would mean he's my best lineman in the draft. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. My man. Honestly, because a lot of other people have just kind of looked at me like I was, speaking Chinese. But yeah, I mean, that's what I was just looking at his tape, and all this stuff too. He's nice. And then going into it now, last question, and I appreciate you for letting us get on again. But as far as do you have any trepidations now? Because I haven't talked to you since now they've hired everybody. It's been a minute. But now do you think with the coaching staff, what is your opinions on the coaching staff? I'm pretty sure you've mentioned it, but I want to throw this out to you. Do you think the whole thing about Dayball and Kafka is working the offense and they pretty much got their head coach on defense in Wink Martindale? Or do you think it's not the same like that? What's your opinions on the coaching staff now that we're a few weeks into it?
Oh, I mean, I still love the coaching staff. On paper, I've said that I think they look to be the best coaching staff we've had in New York for over a decade. On paper, right? We got to see how they perform. Right. We got to see what the execution is and whatnot. But you got one of the best offensive coordinators in the league and one of the best head coach candidates. You got one of the best offensive coordinator candidates in the league that worked with one of the best quarterbacks. You had a guy that was one of the best defensive coordinator in the leagues as our defensive coordinator, and he's going to potentially be bringing in guys that were part of his staff. I like the coaching staff a lot. I'm not sure what you were asking with that head coach of the defense thing though. Could
Like
you elaborate on that?
You see certain talking heads saying the Giants need an experienced head coach when they hire a guy, when Judge is out, they need to get a head coach who's been there, done that. I know you and I were talking a little bit before about Jim Caldwell be an interesting person just because he's coached, he's done it, he's very experienced, and he's coached. He has a good track record. But what I was saying, the fact that the Giants have been able to, they hired the first-time head coach and a first-time OC, but the first-time head coach is an experienced OC, and the OC is a rising coach.
Oh, okay. I think I get what you're asking now. I think I get what you're asking.
Obviously work that offense and get it going. By the way, Mike Groh, former OC himself. So that's a pretty decent staff right there. And then on the defensive side, you pretty much have Wink, who could be a head coach.
Very expensive. Very experienced, yeah.
Right. Defensive line. I mean, the defensive line coach is right there. Peterson and Cox. I mean, those are experienced guys right there. And Peterson, a lot of people wanted him to be Patterson. Yeah, Patterson. Sorry, a lot of people wanted him to be head coach in Minnesota.
Minnesota fans were extremely distraught to see that man go, which is all I need to see. You even had Daniil Hunter. Daniil Hunter was sad when he went, man. So I mean, I know for some people that's like, oh, that's all you need to see. Well, sometimes, you got one of the better edge rushers in the league. Basically, sad to see this man go. And he was the one that developed Daniil Hunter too. But you look at Hunter got there in 14 or 15. And he's been their D-line coach since 13 or 14. So he had direct development of Daniil Hunter. And shout out to Tudo for the $5 super chat real quick. He says, Salute Kush, drop by your office to pay our proper respects. And for all Giants fans around this world, slap all Stinky Bird losers out the door. Peace. But I'm really happy with Patterson. This coaching staff in general is a lot more experienced than the Joe Judge coaching staff, purely off the fact that we had a lot of college guys in here for the Joe Judge coaching staff.
Unproven coaches, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you, Kush.
Manny, I need you to call in next week a little bit earlier, my guy, because we definitely haven't spoken in a minute, and it sounds like we got a lot to talk about.
Oh yeah, man, definitely. No, I mean, got baby girl, always got to take care if she's good. But I appreciate you again, man. Enjoy that cigar like Brian Cox. Peace.
Peace, man. Have a good one. And then the last call for tonight, AB, what's up, man? AB, it says your devices are not connected, bro. I'm gonna need you. There it is. What's up, man? Yo. Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's up?
All right, so I wasn't really trying to call in today, but I had to listen to the callers. I feel like people are forgetting how bad the O-line was. They're talking about defensive end and stuff like that. What I remember is the O-line was awful. At least the defense was decent. So I'm feeling like number 5 and number 7, if you don't trade back, it got to be O-lineman. Unless, Thibodeau falls or something.
This is what I'll say. I think that we need to get 2 O-linemen within our top 4 picks.
Yeah.
Right? And if you're like me, you saw my mock draft, I got 3 within our top 5. So I didn't ignore it. But there was a healthy balance between offense and defense. I still managed to get a good edge rusher and a good linebacker. So I think it's doable.
I'm not really talking about you. I'm talking about the
no. But what I'm doing is using that as an example for I feel like there's a medium that we could hit as Giants fans. But I definitely think I am in the pack that's get your tackle at 5 if they're there, and then try and get an elite defensive player at 7, and then go back to the O-line is where I'm at. But I am not with. There's a camp that's basically ignoring the O-line with 5 and 7. And I'm like, nah, I'm not doing that. I'm getting at least one of those guys, and at least one tackle at 5 or 7.
And last question, because we know we got to go places, but last year, our defense was good with Patrick Graham, and if Wink Martindale is a defensive genius, he should be able to scheme up even better than him. So I'm not sure why all these guys are looking for defensive ends and linebackers when we supposedly have a better defensive coach.
Well, that's a good point, but we are going to have to replace 1 or 2 defensive players that I think we're inevitably going to let go of to make some cap space, like Bradbury. That's why, we're looking at cornerbacks and maybe Martinez. And even if Martinez comes back, we still need another linebacker, But that's a pretty good point. Yeah, I mean, he's supposed to be, and his name is slipping me now. This shows you how tired I am. Wink is supposed to be a better guy than Patrick Graham, so yeah, he should be able to cook up something if Patrick Graham was able to cook up something.
All right, so that was both of my points. That's all I got to say, and Appreciate you for letting me on.
No problem, maybe. Have a good one, man. Always love that photo right there. And guys, that's gonna be it for tonight. I want to say a big thank you to everybody in here. We still got around 69 people. Nice. Hit that like button. Can we match it with 69 likes? That would be super nice. We're at 53 right now. That would be pretty cool. Tudo Zuri, Quan, Hirsch, Giants P Sports, Ray W, Joseph Balby, Donda. I know I missed. There was a listening party or something tonight. I'm gonna have to go back, catch a not so legal stream of it and listen to it because it looks like it was good. Hazelnut, just everybody in here. I want to thank you all for tuning in. All of you guys for showing support, for being in chat, being just great viewers of the channel. Appreciate it. Could not do it without y'all. That's it for now. May or may not have a video out tomorrow because I'm gonna be busy. I am, but there is Young Guns podcast tomorrow night. So that's it for now, guys. Peace.